Alright, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Hawashai, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Hawashai, Kalpala Yahweh, Hawashai, Batra Kakadash. Like his double honor to the elder apostle of great Mo from Will, and to their citation to the oxygen I put to the truth, across the four corners of the earth, to the fear and power of Yahweh Hawashai, as the hope will let. And who the world inwardly called God, his name is Yahweh. And who the world inwardly called Jesus Christ, his name is Yahweh. Or the Hebrew Israelite that consists of the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, Indians, and those who line the descendants go back to one of the 12 tribes of Israel due to the scattering among the nations. Alright? Now it's going to be on rightly dividing the word of truth. And what does it mean? Alright? It might be an in-depth. Alright? Shouldn't be too long. And this is from 2 Timothy 2 and 15. It's the yeah, 15. Yeah, 15, study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shame, but shun profane and vain babbling, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Alright? You gotta shun those things that are outside of the truth. Alright? And that's basically outside of the what you have learned is proper understanding and the breakdown of the scriptures. Alright? Anything outside of that is profane, it's profanity. Alright? Saying that the Lord came to save for all people with profanity. Alright? It's profane outside of the temple. Okay? When you got the word profane. Alright, control before and fame the temple. Okay? Now in the throng, a threshold is acceptable as by crossing the doorway. An example by implication, where the Jewish notions, heathenistic, wicked, profane person. Basically anything outside of the truth, alright, understanding. You think something different than what you had learned, or what the proper breakdown and the understanding of the scripture is, that's profane, alright? So yeah, verse 15 again, but shun profane and vain babbling, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Right. Because you don't shun those things, guess what? You're going to get caught up into believing those things and whatnot. So you have to shun those things. And the word shun is what?
Strong's G 4026. Periestemi. Periestemi.
To place around one, dead around, to avoid, shun. To turn oneself about for the purpose of avoiding something. Okay? So you avoid those things that are contrary to what you have learned. Alright? Contrary to what your understanding of the scriptures are. Alright? So let's go back to verse 15. It said, study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Alright? And look at the word dividing. Alright?
Strong's G 3718. Arthotameo. Arthotameo.
That's the cut straight way, because ortho, I believe, is mouth. Alright? Yeah, because over here, straight, erect, upright, Okay, go back. And then also here, orthos is straight, erect, upright, not crooked, right? So you go to your orthodontist to get your teeth straightened. That's orthos, all right, to make straight. Okay, it's not mouth just to make straight, just to get your teeth to make straight. All right. And then you go to the other word, como tero, is sharper. All right. Basically, to be on point. Let's go to the cut straight way to proceed on straight path. Hold a straight course equivalent to doing right. To make straight and move the handle aright. To teach the truth directly and correctly. All right. So we have to teach this the truth directly and correctly. All right. There's the correct way of breaking these scriptures down, and there's the correct way of understanding these scriptures. All right. You can't break these scriptures down incorrectly. All right. Because then now you have that person that heard your breakdown, believing what you've broken down, but it's wrong. All right. And you see how that can misunderstandings or that misinformation being passed, how they can not know the truth no more. All right. Do you want to do this directly and correctly? All right. Let's bring this one out. Hebrew 5 and 12. But when for the time they ought to be teachers, you have need that one teacher again, which is the first principle of the oracle of the Howard. All right. Another word for oracle is what? Prophet or the seer. And are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. Right, because you're like, when you learn it again, you're like a babe. So you have to get the nourishment first, all right? Yeah, you got to be built up in your faith, and you got to be built up in your understanding of the scripture, all right? And guess how it was done? It was done correctly, and it was done truthfully, all right? And that's how we were able to learn and understand what we learn and understand now. All to the fear of power, how about Tom Shai, my child Kakadash, of the through the men, the older apostle of great Muslims, all right? It said, and not the strong meat, right? It's breakdown and stuff like that. For everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is right. Because you can be unskillful. You're just now learning how to break down the scripture or understand the scripture being broken down, and on top of that, then you have to learn how to break down the scriptures. All right. So that's why I think you'll be unskillful at first. But once you start getting the nourishment that you need, and then start to grow, and then you start to become skillful, and then what? You start to be able to be good at it. All right, and do it correctly. Let me go to the other version so I can pull up that scripture. Where were we at? All right, verse 13. For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in a word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even though who by reason of youth have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. All right, and that's when you start to become skillful. All right, and that's when you're able to discern the like how brothers watch this video and they'll say pick the bone out. All right, now you're able to shun what's profane. All right, and then you're able to get the meat off the bone. All right, with truth. All right, and that's how you rightly divide the word of truth. All right, because you're cutting it straight. Right, because you being straight. Called it what was the breakdown? Ortho. All right, to make straight. All right, and then the second part of that Greek word was sharp. All right, it was to be on point. Okay, you cut off what truth and what needs to be understood. All right, the rest of it you shun that profane, that's outside of the understanding and proper breakdown of the scripture. Okay. Now let's go back up to verse 13. For everyone that is used to milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. All right. Let's look at the word unskillful.
Strong's G 552. Apeiros. Apeiros.
Inexperienced then without experience of. All right. Down in the strong, inexperienced, in example, ignorant, unskillful. All right. And then once you start to grow, you start to be knowledgeable of what you have learned, and then you'll be able to be skillful and rightly dividing the word of truth. All right. Go back to 2 Timothy 2 and repeat again. Study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay, that's pretty much it. I didn't want to make the video too long. Just pretty much going to that, what it means to rightly divide the word of truth. All right. So with that, shalom.